With me today is Gary Waldon, and he has been a teacher, a CEO advisor, and a topless waiter. And what do they all have in common? Well, in Gary's case, a lot, because they're all him. With 44 different jobs under his belt and a powerful new book called Mastering the Art of Reinvention, Gary is living proof that you don't have to have it figured all out. You just have to be willing to evolve. And in this episode, we talk about navigating unexpected change, why relevance is a choice, and how reinvention is less about starting over and more about stepping forward. And yes, we do talk about the topless waiter story. So let's dive in and welcome Gary.
Thanks, Julie. Great to be here and excited to be chatting about reinvention in the book.
Absolutely. So congratulations. And this is hitting the shelves on the 1st of June, which is pretty much when this podcast will go live. So that's great timing.
Excellent timing. Well done. Thank you for that.
Pleasure. Now, you've reinvented yourself 44 times and counting. What's been the most surprising version of yourself so far?
I would suggest probably the most surprising version is this version because I've gone through so much. And so, well, you talk about 44 different reinventions, but that's career-wise. Personally, you go through so many more reinventions, and probably the personal ones are probably the ones that hit us the most compared to our career versions. Because, yeah, sure, we can identify with the title of a job or something. But at a personal level, when you lose a loved one, or you win lotto, or you move house, or you get married or get divorced, each of those is actually a time of reinvention because the old you no longer relevant anymore, and you need to find who the new you is going to be. So we'll cover the 44 definitely, but I just think from a personal level, where I came from being a 16-year-old kid, where completely insecure, an introvert, and making the choice to be an extroverted introvert, and then living a life that was probably not as authentic to who the real me was, meant that continually chasing, well, who am I and what do I want to be? And whilst we can say the 44 jobs were part of that journey, I think at a personal level, that's really the achievement that I think is really important for everybody in the face of reinvention.
I totally agree with that because, like you said, you can attach yourself to a job role, but a job role should not define you. It's the person that you're becoming through whatever job role it is or what other life situation that you're going through that is the most important.
Totally. And that question that we often ask in a social setting, just as sort of the icebreaker, which is, so what do you do? Gives a label to who our careers are, when in actual fact, what we should be asking is, who are you? And most of us don't know that. I was reflecting the other day on one of the most challenging things that my wife and I had to do. And that was to sit there. So we had gone through a divorce. We'd gone through a separation in this case. And it was through actions of my own. And we were sitting there in a sort of a self-help counseling therapy session with a group of other people. And one of the questions that was asked was, I want you to sit there and stare into each other's eyes for 2 minutes. Now, I challenge anybody to do that and not feel confronted, because that's when you're staring into the person and you're getting much deeper than just, oh yeah, I'm a teacher, I'm a topless waiter, I'm a CEO coach. All of those things are stripped away because now we're looking into who you really are. Do you have confidence that you are a good soul? Are you exposed on the flaws that you see that nobody else sees? And I remember my wife saying to me at one point, what happens if you think that I'm not enough, or you see that I'm not enough? And I went, oh my God, what a confronting thing to live with. Because the only person that can tell you that you're enough is you.
That's so true. That's so true. And you're right, because really sitting there and in the silence and looking into someone's soul, which is what you're doing when you're looking into their eyes, is like, it's just something that is on a completely it's on another level. I did that in my coaching training and I found that really, really confronting. I mean, it was with a stranger, which is kind of weird, but it was very confronting at the same time.
And I've done it with guys as well. So,
Yep.
as part of my growth experience, going off to identify who I am as a man and sitting with other men and doing
Mm,
this, where you're staring out into their souls. And, the fronts we put up as both females and males
mm,
are so significant. And males, we put up this, we're tougher than tough facade, but you get into that look down and you're looking into the child that may never have grown up. And
mm,
that's where it becomes really confronting. And I've watched grown men cry as they
mm.
do this. But it's a safe place because, if you've got that compassion in your eyes, that also comes across.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So in the book, you talk about taking control of your future no matter what life throws at you. I'm a massive advocate for that. What's the moment where everything felt out of control for you and how did you find your way through it?
Yeah, so I call them life-changing events or
Mm,
milestone moments. Throughout our life, we have those. And so if you ask yourself, what are the life-changing events that made us who we are today?
mm,
There will be a sequence and series of them.
mm,
Probably the biggest ones for me were not career focused, but personal. And that was divorce from my first wife, who we've now got a really good friendship with both her and her husband. And then separating with my now wife to that forced me to go and do the work to go, okay, who do I want to be? Because I'm not a person that likes to hurt people. I'm a person that loves to help people. And so that was probably one of the most critical things. And that's even bigger than when mum died. Um, and that was huge. But
mm,
when you actually have to dig into yourself to go, these are the things that don't work for me. These are the things that are not serving me well. How do I move forward from there? Now, you can make a choice. You could go, you know what? I'm just going to sit where I am right now. And I won't name the people, but I could identify people that do that. And they will get to the end of their lives never challenging the lies that are within them that are holding
mm,
them back from achieving their full potential.
mm, mm. And that is such a what does it call it? Like it's just a place where you are stuck, where you can't move unless you confront that.
Yeah, it's like wearing a mullet haircut for me. Sure, I had it. I had it in the 70s. I can't wear it off now, but the other kids can. I just can't do it.
I
Um,
know it's come back into fashion.
I don't know that you can use the word fashion for it, Julie. I think it's just one of those haircuts that people are wearing.
It's just not good.
It
It's never good, and it's
was
not
never
good.
good.
Exactly. So I'm really curious because you just mentioned before that you were a unconfident child and you were introverted. So talking about the topless way to reinvention, which is now even more curious for me, what did that version teach you about confidence or reinvention?
Um, Probably the topless waiter was not so confronting as it sounds.
Mm.
I just kind of fell into it because I was working in a nightclub, and that's when Manpower was created from that
Oh yeah.
particular
Yep.
nightclub. And so Jamie Drury was working behind the bar. I was behind the bar, and they created this Manpower review. But my dad moves weren't cutting it, so I didn't make the cut for a dancer. I just had to take the shirt off, wear the black braces and a bow tie, and serve Peter Allen at that point.
All right. Okay.
Totally.
Perfect. But you didn't feel like confronted in terms of doing that, or was that a persona for you at that time?
It was a persona, and I think when I go back to when I decided I didn't want to be an introvert because I felt like I didn't have friends at
Mm,
12 years old, I
mm,
put on the extroverted persona, and that has become the second skin to me. So whilst
mm,
I still get this fear of failure and the imposter syndrome, the extrovert part now, I have a learned behavior of new habits that sit with an extrovert. And so that's part of that challenge when you're going through reinvention is the habits that we had with our old identity
Mm.
now to either evolve or let go of them. And then when we do that, we're going to build up new ones and they're going to feel really uncomfortable until they actually do become habits that are stuck with us.
Yeah. Yep. And I love that you're talking about imposter syndrome as a man, because imposter syndrome is very much attached to women. And there's a really high percentage of women who experience imposter syndrome. I can't remember the exact number now, but men experience this too. And I love that you're talking about this to normalize it for men.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the things, and this goes back to looking into the eyes, is that we're encouraged to toughen up. Real men don't cry. Real men don't show their emotions. And when you're suffering from an imposter syndrome, my wife calls me Tin Man on a regular basis because my emotions are quite often bottled away
Mm,
because you're not used to sharing them and you're not used to being able to go, okay, I'm just not feeling great at the moment.
mm,
I'm meant to put on this face of, yes, I'm great. I'm going and I'm taking that hill because I'm a real man. But the real men, even the tough ones that get into fights or do any of those sort of violent things, they've still got those things of how do I belong? Who am I? And
mm,
am I comfortable with myself? And for me personally, I could be wrong, is violence comes from a feeling of not being enough and being challenged. And so when we talk about violence overall, we need to get down to really that lower level of acceptance of oneself.
mm,
Because it's only when you accept and know yourself that you don't get confronted by somebody challenging you at various levels. You can
mm.
deal with it because you know, well, maybe that person's got some issues as well. So do I need to blow up on it? No, I don't. I just need to go, okay, thank you. I'll let that go.
Yeah, I think there's such power in that. And I talk about, once you know who you are and what you stand for, it's really anchoring to that. And that then gives you strength to be able to go, you know what, I'm not buying into this conversation.
Yeah, exactly. I
Mm.
talk about, did you come across Bob at all?
Bob, in your book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bob was for me, I was sitting there writing away one night and Bob jumped into my head and Bob was from Blackadder, you know, that character, Bob.
Mm,
And then all of a sudden I've gone, actually, Bob is boss of my brain. And so Bob is that voice inside your head that challenges you when you're looking like you're going to be confronted or could fail. And so Bob's job is three things pretty much. It's like a helicopter parent: protect you physically, psychologically, and emotionally. So
mm,
whenever there's a threat to that, Bob's doing the helicopter parent going, get off that tree, you could fall. Or just don't do that. Remember, you could fail. That's embarrassing. How bad is that? Or
mm,
this person is challenging who you are. And because you're not comfortable with you, then let's go and do the fight, flight, or freeze and fight back probably. So all of those aspects of Bob is just sitting in your head going, okay, what's happening in the world? My stepdaughter, hers is called Miranda Priestley from Devil Wears Prada. My wife's is called Frau because she dissects her insecurities with German precision.
Oh, I love that.
You totally. And so having the ability to separate yourself from your thoughts
Mm,
enables you to go, okay, Bob, you're telling me not to try something because there's a chance I fail, but I will 100% fail if I don't try it. So let's give
mm.
it a shot. So if you know the acronym, my response to Bob on regular occasions when I've reviewed what he's saying is STFU, and I'm getting on with it right now.
I love that. And it does quieten Bob down when you acknowledge him
Yeah,
because, as you say, he's trying to keep you safe. You acknowledge him, it's like, guess what? I'm going ahead anyway.
yeah,
Or
totally.
STFU. I love it. Now, jumping into the keeping people relevant in a world that's changing faster than ever, especially with AI, which is what your book touches on. How do we know when it's time to reinvent ourselves?
Yeah, so there's probably three catalysts for this. So one of my
Mm-hmm.
44 jobs was I was an ex-science and maths school teacher. And so chemistry was one of my subjects, and you put catalyst into a chemical and it comes up with a reaction. So things can happen to us. So, you might get a health diagnosis and you can go, well, that's a pretty clear sign that I need to reinvent myself. You could
Mm,
be in a relationship and things are just building and building and building. And all of a sudden you go, you know what, I deserve better than this.
mm,
And you make a conscious decision to change things. Or you go for that promotion, or you buy the house. Or the world around us changes, such as at the age of AI. And there are so many things that are coming our way that we're best to be prepared for reinvention, because reinvention
mm,
is not easy. It means letting go of all of those things that we've relied on and succeeded with in the past. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. And then going, okay, over here, we've got to build up some new habits, routines, processes that are going to help us succeed.
mm,
And we're doing that in a world of uncertainty. And I think I mentioned it, probably 60% of people won't start a new business or an enterprise because they're scared of failing. Imagine if they weren't scared, but they knew that they had almost like a growth mentality, or I used to coin the phrase failure mentality, where accepting failure is part of success.
mm,
It's a step on the way. So take our lessons from it. And so by getting ready to go, all right, reinvention is about, firstly, knowing that change happens. It is what it is. Some of
mm,
it we get the control, but the consequences of our decisions aren't always within our control. So
mm.
any change has an element of surprise, uncertainty, that we need to manage with. And
Yeah.
then understanding what it is that we've got from a personal perspective. So, do a reality check on ourselves, because even if positive or negative, we're going to have to build a new you. What's the stuff we want to take into this new version of ourselves?
Mm,
And what do we want to leave behind?
mm,
If you can consciously do that, you're starting to get yourself into a really good position to go, okay, I'm moving forward now. Um, and then, did you want me to continue with the acronym of CREATE? Because that's what
yeah,
I've been talking
definitely. Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Is then the next part is the really important part, empowering. If you don't feel empowered or don't empower yourself, then there's a good chance you're going to stay sitting on the couch with the ice cream container, which I love ice cream, so I'm not knocking it. It's just there's a period of time until you're starting to spread across the couch too far. Um, and so when you can figure out how to empower yourself, and empowering could just be starting to look for stories that are similar to yours, starting to find mentors that can help. And so, Julie, the great work that you do from coaching is actually about helping people go through that reinvention cycle, because you're moving from from the past person to the
Mm,
new person, which is
mm.
such a powerful and I'm sure a rewarding thing for you.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so getting that empowerment is
Mm,
so critical. Um, and then the next step is, I've done all my research, I've read every book. I could get analysis paralysis
mm,
without having to take some actions. And so just doing something that's different to the routines that you've had for the past will start to break patterns and create new ones. And so doing some sort of action. In my case, if my head's got so many ideas and so many fears building around it, I might go for a surf. Got
mm.
nothing to do with what I need to do, but it actually gives me a mental break. And sitting out there is like almost meditation, because my best ideas come to me while I'm sitting on the board looking for a wave.
Mm,
And it could be bushwalking, it could be whatever it is that gives you those breaks is critical.
mm,
And then the next part is of create. So we've gone all the way through and we're at the T. And the T is really important, because this is where we're either going to fail or get on with it, because it's the try again. and try, sure, give it a shot. But we're stepping into a world that is new and unknown to us. So as we make those steps, each time that uncertainty and the unfamiliar territory that we're stepping into, there's a chance we're going to trip up. There's a chance we're going to take a wrong turn. Going in with our failure and growth mindset means that we go, yeah, okay, that's part of it. That's part of learning. That's part of being a human. I always like the idea of the back to a toddler learning to walk.
Yeah.
They fall. They go, oh, okay, well, that one didn't work for me. At a subconscious level, they're making these calls. They get up and try again, and then they try again. But imagine if the parents were saying to them, you know what? How dumb are you? How stupid are you for falling? That's just like kids your age are all walking right now. That's what Bob will often do to us with failure. Stand up, sit up there in our head going, give it up, tell us lies that we can't do it, when in actual fact, we don't know we can't do it because we've never tried before. And where we're heading will probably be not where we think we're going to end up, will not be where we finish, because things will happen. Life happens, change happens along the way, different influences come in. And so our journey will be a bit like that as we go through it.
Yeah.
And then the last part, which I've had to really work on myself for, is enjoy the journey. For me personally, I was always focused on the future. So I had in my head that I needed to be a millionaire by the time I was 30. Did I make it? No, I didn't. And so that led me into dark places. Each birthday was more like a funeral than a ceremony of a birthday. And that was because it was a recognition or a point that I could go, I'm not closer to where I thought I should be at this point. And so I still have to fight with myself to go, Gary, the journey is here and now, because it's not in the future, because the future hasn't happened, and it may actually not happen the way we think it's going to. And then I would always beat myself up about the past and go, oh man, what would I have done if I'd bought that block of land that was $10,000 when I was 20?
Yeah.
Just think of where I'd be right now. The past is the past. You can't go back, you can't change it. And there's even a good chance that you've misinterpreted it and Bob's telling you lies about the past and how great it was. So being here and now is the only thing that we have control over.
Yeah.
You may as well enjoy it.
Absolutely. And that's I love that last part of create, because life is precious and life can be short. So you have to enjoy the moment that we're in. And it's very, leading yous audience is very much leaders and entrepreneurs and very high performing A-type personalities, so that failure can be seen as that unsuccessful rather than the learning. It's what can we learn from this? Okay, let's move forward with that and, potentially don't make that mistake again. But yeah, it's something that people need to remember. And especially in AI now, a lot of people are scared of that. Is it going to take over my job? What's going to happen? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, you've just got to embrace it. You've just got to learn how you can use it, how you can integrate it. And AI is never going to be a self-aware human. So
no, totally.
Yeah.
And I think one of the good things about the understanding failure is, in the world of technology, you don't send a rocket up into space thinking the first one's going to work. You send a rocket up into space thinking that it might not go well. So what are the lessons we can learn from it? So if you want to go out into orbit, remember, not every try is going to succeed, but understand that you can actually start to think about, all right, I'm not putting all the eggs in this basket. I'm actually going to go and do a test flight. And that test flight is exactly that. It's testing what works in this environment and what doesn't work, because even out of the doesn't works gives us direction to the things that do.
Absolutely. Definitely. So is there anything that people get wrong about reinvention? And what's one thing that anyone can do today to move from stuck and create momentum?
Yeah, sure. So the first thing I would say is one of the things that we get wrong is comparisonitis,
Oh, yes.
because we look at others and we forget all of the things that are happening in the background behind them or for them.
Mm.
And
Mm.
so we think their lives are wonderful, but they might be going through some trauma at home. They might be doing things tough financially, but they're putting on that sort of our public facade and
Mm.
going out there going, yes, I'm here. We only see that. Inside their heads, their Bob's going, oh, I think they can see that. That's the imposter syndrome. I'm sure they can see that I'm doing it tough and I'm about to break into tears at any time. And so being able to move from comparisonitis to going, am I okay? And I use that regularly where I go, one of the things I need to do when I'm getting really anxious is stop myself and think, forget about the finances. Am I okay right now? I'm breathing. I've got enough food. I've got a beautiful wife. I've got great friends. I've got a great house. I'm sure I owe money on it, but the bank's not repossessing it right now. So I'm okay.
Yeah.
And so understanding that comparisonitis can be so debilitating and it feeds Bob's fear of failure and gives him ammunition to keep talking to you and sort of talking over the top of you, if you like.
Mm.
Um,
Definitely. Definitely. I love that. So what's one thing that people could do now? Like if they're feeling this, if they're nodding along going, oh my God, this is me. What can they do to move from stuck and create some momentum?
it's a step. It's just the
Mm.
one step into the unknown. And so we touched on AI, and I'll use that as the example in this one. If you're sitting there thinking AI is going to impact my business, how are my staff going to react? Actually, just sit down at night, jump into a chat GPT or one of the many others
Mm.
and start to play. And from that play, you'll start to get interested, start to get excited, and you'll start to see the opportunities that it offers, because with change comes opportunity. Yes, there's change and that could threaten who we are, but being able to accept that there is also opportunities as well as negatives. And if you focus on those opportunities, you get to grow. And there was a lot of the AI guys are saying many of the most successful and largest businesses and many of the billionaires are going to be created over the next couple of years through their playing with AI.
Mm.
So sit there, play. It might be you're struggling with a strategy. AI can give you a strategy as a leader. If you're dealing with some people issues, just bounce it around, because you end up with your own consultant without having to pay $3,000 to $5,000 a day for this person. They're just giving you some advice. And the great thing is, our brains will either take it, adapt it, or reject it. But either one of those three gives us some direction
Mm.
into what we personally would like to do.
Mm. Absolutely. I love that. And that's a great note to finish on, Gary. And I'll be sharing all the links in terms of how people can get hold of your book and how people can get in touch with you. And I want to thank you for being so generous in what you've shared on this episode today.
Thanks, Julie. Great to be here. And I have no choice because you're the same sort of person. So thank you for being you.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary.